Okay, so for this design, what we're going to be doing is something that I'm sure many of you have seen, but it's called a chevron. I want to specifically pay attention to how you outline the chevron line so that you can get the lines really crisp and straight. So I'm going to start at the top here, and I'm going to create a V with a really thin line with a pointed brush. And then I'm going to follow that line a little below it. Later you'll fill in the area that needs to be filled in black. For now, we're just going to draw our chevrons on first. So you're going to leave a larger gap between that first chevron and the next one. The bottom one is actually going to be like a V at the bottom of the nail. But here you're going to take a detail brush, something a little thicker than your fine detail brush, and just use the point of it to fill in the chevron. Now I am working on the sticky layer or inhibition layer of a gel polish, which I like to work on because it just makes the paint kind of stick, I think, and it doesn't flow around. Where if you were working on a slick surface, it's a little bit more difficult to work on. And keep in mind that your acrylic paint is going to dry very quickly. If you are attempting to do this in gel enamel, it's a little more difficult. That's actually a lot more difficult because your gel enamel is gel in a sense, and it's made with gel, so it's going to tend to spread and move. And primarily with black, it's really hard to work with. So keep in mind that working with the paint is a little bit easier when you're trying to create fine lines and detail. Now here, I just cleaned off my brush a little bit with some water. If I need to clean up the lines, I can choose to do it with that or with a little bit of acetone as well. So you can see right there how effective that was. So if you have a little wobble in your line of your chevron, you can easily straighten that out with just a tiny bit of acetone. Just don't use too much because you don't want it to bleed out the black and then kind of make a mess. So just a little bit. You want to try to keep the chevron the same thickness from chevron to chevron. So if one's a little thicker, you can go back and thin it out, or you can make another one thicker by adding to it. Also, at the end, when you're happy with your design, check the side walls to make sure that you have full coverage and that your chevron is actually finished on the side. Otherwise, it'll look like you didn't really finish your design. So this one needed to be a little thicker here. I just want to show you with that nice little detail brush how you can go back and just add a little to it by like just swiping one line below it. Okay, make sure that your chevrons are completely dry, and how you know that your paint is dry is when it becomes completely matte finish. If it looks shiny, like it's still shiny here, that means it's still wet. So you don't want to top coat anything prematurely and you're going to make it smear. So you got to wait for a little bit. When your design is completely dry and your black has become a satin finish look or matte, you know that it's dry. You're going to just take your gel top coat and with one really thin layer, apply it over your entire surface area, covering the free edge, making sure you've covered your sidewalls. And also make sure that you don't get any product on the skin. I mean, you don't want to overexpose, but that can cause lifting of your product because it will shrink once it's cured. So Once that's done, you're going to go ahead and do a cure in your LED or your UV light. Okay, in our final step of this chevron design, we're just going to wipe off the sticky layer. One thing I didn't actually do now, but I'm going to recommend it, is when you're doing nail art designs, it's a good idea to do 2 layers of top coat. That will really preserve your design and the clients can wear it longer and not have to worry about it wearing off at all. Okay, so that's a chevron, very, very popular these days, and it can be done different ways. You can add more V's into the chevron. You can just do one down the middle or on the free edge, but that is a 3-part chevron.